I'm hoping that they actually bring back Jameis for one more year. I like the move that they just made, getting a first round pick, even though it's at the end of the first round, I think 29th overall for Sean Payton. That gives them a little bit of ammunition so they can move up. If there's a quarterback that either drops a little bit in that first round or a guy who becomes undervalued, I have a guy in mind who does need some assistance to become that upper echelon quarterback. And that's Anthony Richardson out of Florida. He's got all the talent in the world, and he'll probably drop because he won't check the boxes.
When you think of New Orleans, there's a lot of things that come to mind. You think of great food, you think of great nightlife, but you also think of the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans was supposed to be one of the top teams in the NFL this year, but because of injury and some subpar play, they just were not that good. We got our man here today from Football Gameplan, Chris James, to kind of go over exactly what happened in New Orleans, why the season wasn't as successful, and what they need to do in the future to get back to where New Orleans is usually at in the NFL. All right, man, we appreciate you, CJ, jumping on with us, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm making it, BigB. How you doing?
I am doing all right, man, doing all right. So the Saints, man, it wasn't a great year this year. I call him 30 for 30. Old Jameis Winston got hurt early, literally broke his back. And I'm like, man, the dude can't catch a break. He cannot catch a break. And then when he did get healthy, they didn't even give him his job back. And I think part of that was because Dalton wasn't playing horrible. I think Winston was better, but he wasn't playing horrible. Kind of give me a synopsis of what do you think as far as, the season as a whole and that quarterback situation.
So I'll start with the quarterback. It was frustrating to see Jameis not get the opportunity to show what he could do without, 4 broken vertebrae.
Right.
But to your point, Andy Dalton at this stage of his career, we all know he's a backup, but he actually played like a low-end starter, and he did pretty well this year. I think he was in the top 5 at one point in QBR because he was just getting the job done, being efficient and effective. And that offense changed when Andy Dalton came in, which kind of frustrated me that they didn't give the easy stuff to Jameis like they gave to Drew Brees before, and et cetera, right? So, I mean, the season as a whole, it was disappointing because you watched them give up so much, and teams only do that when they really think that they're close.
Right.
And I even thought that they were pretty close. I knew that they were a playoff caliber team, possible Super Bowl team if Jameis Winston played to the best of his physical ability.
Right.
So it was frustrating. It was frustrating to watch a team be that good, that close. And the last month of the season really, truly proved how good that defense was. They were the number 1 defense for 3 straight weeks, it seemed like, even better than the 49ers.
Absolutely. You took the words right out of my mouth because that was literally going to be the next thing that I said is the defense showed up, man. They were there. Now, granted, all during the season, but it's hard playing that way when your quarterback's beat up and your quarterback's not there. You're not getting great quarterback play, but the defense, man, it was a championship level defense. It just was. It was, man. And to see them not be able to get over the hump offensively, it's something that you never really been able to say about the Saints. It was just disheartening. Looking at it next year, what do you think moving forward? Are they doing something? I don't know. I kind of dove in a little bit, as far as money wise, how they were strapped for a little while. So are they going to be able to do something in the offseason, upgrade positions? Are they going to bring back Jameis? What's going on there?
So I'm hoping that they actually bring back Jameis for one more year, but it'll probably be bring back Andy Dalton for one more year type scenario with what I'm seeing. I like the move that they just made, getting a first round pick, even though it's at the end of the first round, I think 29th overall for Sean Payton. That gives them a little bit of ammunition so they can move up. If there's a quarterback that either drops a little bit in that first round or a guy who becomes undervalued, I have a guy in mind who does need some assistance to become that upper echelon quarterback that his talent says he can be, but he's got to fix some of the mechanical issues and also focus on the game. And that's Anthony Richardson out of Florida. He's got all the talent in the world, and he'll probably drop because he won't check the boxes, as they say.
That's right. I mean, NFL's changed a lot. And if you can get an ultra talented guy, and by all reports, he's actually really good in the classroom. And what I mean classroom, he's good at the whiteboard. Yes. So if you can be good at the whiteboard and know what's going on, now it's time. Okay, let's get you in a real offense. Let's fix your mechanics. And when you're ultra talented and ultra athletic like that, man, you got something.
Oh, Absolutely. And that's part of the reason why I want them to resign Jameis. See, Andy Dalton can help out guys because he's a vet. But I think Jameis, from experience, from having some of the same experiences and also working on the same things, a lot of the footwork is the problem with Anthony Richardson. I think Jameis would be exceptional with coaching that guy up if he was the starter next year and let Richardson cook a little bit.
Well, and the one thing about Jameis too, and it doesn't get talked about enough, kind of what I mentioned about at the whiteboard, Jameis is outstanding at the whiteboard. It doesn't get talked about, for reasons I don't know, but he is outstanding at the whiteboard. So if there's anybody to learn from on what to do, you can learn it from Jameis Winston, man. You absolutely can.
Absolutely.
The defense, I don't know that they have to make a whole lot of changes. I mean, I like what they're doing. Obviously, you always want to get better, but getting those picks for Peyton, I think they were key. I know a lot of people think the same thing. I just think they were key because they can upgrade an already good roster and make it even better moving forward.
Absolutely. That's one thing that they did. The other thing was the restructure of Michael Thomas's contract. That got him out of hell. And also, however they need to do it, whether it's trading him and getting him to a location that helps him out, getting a little more ammunition, they needed to do something with that deal. He hasn't been on the field. I think it's been 3 games over the last 2.5 seasons. They got to do something. So
yeah, it's crazy. That's nuts, man. I just all that money and for nothing. I mean, literally for nothing. I know that's a bad thing to say, but honestly, it's literally been from nothing. I mean, he hasn't played.
Yeah, and it's the crappy portion is it's not as if he's being. Maybe people disagree with me. To some extent, he's been a malcontent, like people like to say, but it's been injury. The guy has legitimately been injured, and he's been busting tail to try to get back out there. But we're not getting the return on investment as the New Orleans Saints because his body failed him.
Yep. That's exactly right. And it's too bad because I think he's really, really good. And clearly he showed that he was really good. They wouldn't have given all that money for nothing or for average play or even just really good play. I mean, he was a great receiver. So it's too bad, and the kind of injury that he's got, it's like, I'm not sure that it ever heals right to where he can come back and be the guy that he was before.
No, and that's why, I think he'd be helpful for a team that has a young quarterback that needs someone who knows what they're doing, young receivers in the receiving room. A team like Chicago would be an ideal location for Michael Thomas to get moved to.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So a lot of people, Dennis Allen, a lot of people don't like him. That I shouldn't say don't like him as the coach. Not satisfied with what he did. I'm kind of here or there. Obviously, the defense is going to be good. But at the same time, he doesn't strike me as being the fiery or the leader of men that that you need to win in the National Football League. Is that kind of the buzz around New Orleans, or am I wrong about that?
See, the thing about Dennis Allen reminds me of a great drummer, right? A guy who can do something in concert with the rest of a band is amazing, like a Neil Peart, right?
Yeah.
But that solo album is not going to hit.
I got you.
When he's the leader of the pack, he's an excellent defense coordinator. Maybe he just doesn't know how to be a head coach at a high level. And this is not a situation where people are going to be comfortable learning on the fly because they lost Sean Payton, one of the better coaches of the last couple of decades. So Allen improved. Let's see if he can actually improve in season 2 since they give him another one. But it might just be that he is a coordinator and that's it.
Makes sense. Makes perfect sense. Yeah. And again, there's lots of guys that are like that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's plenty of guys running around the NFL. You give them an opportunity to be, a head coach. It doesn't work out, but they are great offensive and defensive coordinators. So,
there's a guy who made his career off of that. Wade Phillips is that guy.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. He was a great coordinator. When you got the head jobs at a couple of different places, it just didn't work out. So that is a great, great point. Moving forward to next year, I know we talked a little bit about it in the draft with the quarterbacks, the coaching. I mean, is there a lot of moves, per se, like offensive line, D-line, any other moves that you think the Saints need to do to kind of progress to that next level?
The Saints are in a very awkward position of being literally a possible Super Bowl team without the requisite part, i.e. the quarterback that they want. Okay.
Gotcha.
They need to actually do the following, at least in my opinion. They need to get younger at the positions that have been such great positions. Cam Jordan's busting tail and still one of the better defensive ends in the league, but he can't do it forever. So we have to continue to get younger guys in under him. They're trying to do that. They brought in Peyton Turner. That hasn't worked out yet, but doing that. I like a trade that they could make to go get Clyde Edwards-Helaire from Kansas City and bring him home and have that guy come in and be kind of the Mark Ingram type back as a compliment to Alvin Kamara. They just need to start utilizing those picks and some moves and getting younger at the positions that have been their bell cows for a couple of years.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and, he's kind of wore out his welcome in Kansas City because of the injury bug, and they've kind of just literally replaced him in Kansas City with guys. So, making that move, I'm sure it wouldn't cost a ton as far as, if the Chiefs don't even cut him this offseason, even if you were to trade for him, I mean, you could get him for a low fifth, probably a sixth round pick, and it's an upgrade. And you're exactly right. It would be an upgrade because I think he can still play as long as he can stay on the field. I think he is just fine. And I think he's proven that.
Absolutely.
Flipping the script a little bit. So we got the Super Bowl coming up. Who are you leaning towards? For me, look, my wife is a diehard Chiefs fan, and I know I used to live there, and there's tons of guys that they just love the Chiefs, but I think Philadelphia is just better. I think the Chiefs got beat up in that AFC Championship game. I mean, now granted, we still got some time before, the game is played, but they got a lot of guys that are injured that I don't know how effective they're going to be. I don't know if they're even going to play. For that alone, I would take Philadelphia, but I just think Philly's got a better roster top to bottom.
So this smells like two situations, and one is in another sport that's more recent and better of a fit, and the other one is in the same sport from several years back. So I'll use the one in the same sport. Okay. It feels kind of like that Super Bowl 50, where Carolina was rolling. They lost one game all year. They just destroyed the Cardinals, and it looked like the Broncos were leaning, like just limping into the situation. Everyone, including myself, thought they were going to kill them. And there was just something there where they're like, no, just wait. We've been here before. They're brand new to it. Same thing with the other sport. This reminds me of the Eagles look like the Boston Celtics last year in the finals. Everything said they should destroy Golden State, except Golden State had dudes who have been there. That's going to come into play here. If there's any level of health to the Kansas City Chiefs, I would lean Chiefs. If they continue to be this injured, to your point, eventually it's going to catch up with you. I go Eagles. So we need to see, lead right up to the game. That's when I'll make my decision. But that's going to be the driving factor. If they get any level of health going into that game, I got Kansas City in a close one.
Well, and here's the thing, man. I like your second analogy even better because the difference is just what you said. Boston young, their roster is better. And I think Boston's roster was better than the Warriors, but the Warriors had the best player. And in this matchup, it's the same thing. The Phillies roster is better, but the Chiefs got the best player. So I love that analogy, man. I didn't think of it that way and put it in those terms, but you are 100% right. 100% right. I still like Philly. The only reason is, and the reason that I don't like the first analogy is because the Broncos had a defense. The Chiefs really don't. And if the Eagles say, you know what, we're going to run this football, I don't know that the Chiefs can put up a whole lot of resistance. I really don't. So we're going to see. That's my only thing. That's my big thing about this. I think if Philly just said, you know what, we're going to run a lot of RPOs, and I'm just not sure that the Chiefs can stand up to that. I hope it's a good game, though. Obviously, we all hope it's a good game. I'm still leaning Philly, but I do love that analogy, man. You are spot on with that. I mean, spot on with it.
There's another thing that kind of comes into play here, and you actually mentioned it. Being able to run the ball and the defense. I mean, I could be wrong, but the Chiefs gave up 20 points twice in this postseason to pretty damn good offenses.
They did.
In fact, that Philly game against San Francisco, they got a little banged up. We know Lane Johnson has the groin injury, but also Landon Dickerson going down with that elbow injury.
That elbow injury, that's right.
So I don't know. They may not be able to run the ball in the same manner that they usually can. And Chris Jones right now is eating. He's trying to look like Aaron Donald the way he's playing right now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're right. You're right. He's dominating a line of scrimmage.
So that could be a sneaky one in this game. And if they're not able to run the ball, I trust Jalen Hurts more than a lot of people do. I don't trust that shoulder. That's the biggest problem.
He's hurt. You're right.
Yeah, he's legitimately injured, and people are not giving it enough credit that his throwing shoulder is hurt.
Yep. I mean, that's usually a 6 to 8 week injury. I mean, it just is, especially on your throwing shoulder. It's a 6 to 8 week thing. You can play through it, but you're not close to 100%. I mean, you're right. You're right. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Again, that health report, that injury report getting closer to the game time is really, really going to be key. So, well, man, I appreciate you jumping on here with us, man. We will 100% have you back. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now, man.
Sure. So actually working with a company called Football Gameplan. It's 5 of us. We're trying our best to get you football that makes sense. And I also have a podcast that I do on a weekly basis, 4 different episodes called Chopping It Up with CJ. I give you breakdowns on fantasy football during the regular season, different topics in the NFL and college football, as well as give you, some betting odds with some confidence points attached to them, kind of lean you in the right direction if you want to put some coin down.
I gotcha.
Yeah. And this upcoming week, I'll actually be out at the Super Bowl covering it and going to the game. So I'll be able to give you some good intel and give the folks some good intel on what's going on.
All this stuff at?
Yeah. So you can actually go on either Apple Pod or go on Spotify, look up Chopping It Up with CJ. It's a W with a slash.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Or Football Game Plan. You can look us up on YouTube. YouTube channel is up and active. Emery Hunt is the one who's in charge of that, but I pop in once in a while to get some insight. Yeah. And you can follow me on Twitter at CJFlorida9. The handle that's on the screen, that's my Twitter handle.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate that, man. Thank you again for joining us. We will 100% have you back. We got a lot of stuff going on at LTB Sports, man. So we appreciate you having on. Thank you.
Thank you.